Hello everyone, this is Noodle, and today we are taking a look at the canister shell for the tank. And I'm going to admit right off the bat here, I came into this starting to play with the canister shell with a pretty bad attitude, because I've played with the canister shell before and I've rage quit it several times and thought it was absolutely terrible and vowed to never use it again. But I was pretty shocked when I started using it a bit more for this video. I figured I'd make this video and maybe somebody at DICE would see it and they would buff it because I thought it needed a buff. But when I actually started using it correctly, it definitely was not hurting me. I was still playing at 7, 8, 9 to 1 in the several rounds I used this thing, so it definitely wasn't affecting me. So what is the canister shell? First and foremost, well, it's basically a 120mm shotgun for your tank. It loads just like a normal shell, like the HE shell, Sabot shell, and AP shell. And it is an absolute beast in real life. It is real life. This exists in real life, and it is a nasty tool of war, of which you would not want to be anywhere near the wrong end of it when it goes off. It basically shoots a whole heck of a lot of lead balls downrange, just like a shotgun, and has a spread just like a shotgun. It spreads out as it goes downrange, and the further it goes, the more they spread out. With that being said, so what made me realize that this thing frickin' rocks, and how did I get to the point where I stopped basically rage quitting with this? So how I use it effectively is basically the main thing I discovered is that you gotta keep a little bit of a distance from your enemy. Because DICE made this thing pretty realistic for Battlefield 4, which means if you're really close to the enemy, the spread on it is very low because it just came out. And honestly, in this game, the spread's probably a little wrong in real life, but it's a video game, so it has to be a little different. But when it first comes out, it's not going to spread much at all because it's out of a 120mm cannon. It's going really fast, so it takes a little while to get that spread on it. So you really have got to keep a nice little distance between yourself and your prey of what you're shooting at. And I have found a solid 40 meters between you and your enemy is good with this thing. Anything less than 40 meters, it gets pretty hard to hit. It gets I mean, you can still hit them if you hit them directly or get it really close to them, which if you start using this thing quite a bit, you'll most definitely be able to do. As you use it more and more, you're definitely going to get better at it. But I have found for myself, I like to keep a nice little pad between me and the enemy. And that 40 meters or more allows that shell to let that spread happen and you to take full advantage of that shotgun spread. And it's not that hard to hit your enemy, and you get a whole heck of a lot of balls on target and take them down pretty darn easily with this thing. So what is the max range of this? I found that it will still one-shot kill out to about 100 meters. Out to 100 meters, it still hits you pretty good even if you're half exposed. But anything beyond that, if they're partially covered, if they're kind of crouching behind a rock and you just see their upper body or something, you just kind of get a hit marker and it probably does quite a bit of damage to them. I bet it still does like 75 damage. But so if they do have a little damage, you're still going to get that kill. But it's harder to kill because that spreads so much that you're not getting as many balls on target. And in order to extend this range, this works pretty darn well with those nooblets who are just camping. In order to extend the range, just make sure you get the center of the target, that little dot in the middle, on them. And you will get the most amount of balls on them and get the kill, obviously. But if they are moving, again, this is another thing that you will most definitely improve on as you use this more and more. If they are moving, you have to compensate for how fast they're moving and how long it takes the shell to get on target if they're really far away to get that little dot on them. So definitely it's a skill weapon. But it really works pretty well. And for anything really below 40 meters, and this is one of the reasons that I rage quit it so much before, is before I was using the Sabot shell or the HE shell with it, which are absolutely terrible shells at taking out enemy infantry. So anything below 40 meters, I'm using AP shell now. I just switched to my AP shell, and boom, that up and close social work is done with the AP shell really well. That's what it's kind of designed for, and it works pretty well. So what's so bad about this? What is still bad about this canister shell after all these good things and all this raving I've just done about this thing? Well, it does take a whole reload to reload the shell. So if I just fire my AP shell and I see an enemy coming at me, I'm like, oh crap, I want to fire my canister shell. I've got to wait for the whole reload. There's no glitch in it like there was in Battlefield 3, where you could quick switch, fire your main cannon, and then fire your canister shell, which everyone used to do, immediately. And just like in Battlefield 4 with the staff shell, how it used to be, it's been patched, heck yeah, where you could do that quick fire. That doesn't exist now with the canister shell, so you have to wait that full reload, and that does suck if you have someone sneaking up on you. You have to keep on moving, but that is made a little bit easier with the fact that if you're using this correctly, you're keeping that little bit of distance, so you do have a little bit of wiggle room if you're abiding by your own little rule there. And that is another important part of why you should keep that distance. And another thing about this shell, I wouldn't use it on really small maps. Real tiny maps, where you're constantly surrounded by bases, real tight together, I would refrain from using this. I would choose the LMG, that's my personal choice. And I did a video about that not too long ago, LMG versus HMG. Or you can choose the HMG. That's a lot of guys say they still love that thing, and it's not bad. It's not a bad weapon to use for the up close and personal. So you can fire your main shell at a tank or whatever you're shooting at, and if someone's real close to you, you can switch instantly to your secondary weapon and take out that enemy. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any more questions about the tactics of using this, hit that comment button below. And I'm a small channel, so I always answer all my questions and comments. Hit that like button, it really helps my channel out. And if you did like the video, why not? It's really easy just to hit that darn like button. Do it. If you made it this far, you probably like it. Do it. And until next time, guys, my name is Noodle, and always remember, use your noodle.